Good morning, everybody. This is Judith from EIT Urban Mobility. I see that we have our attendees joining, so I will wait 1 more minute before we start. Okay. Good morning, everybody. This is Judith from EIT Urban Mobility. Welcome, everybody, to this webinar of our second targeted open call. Just be aware that you are recorded. Okay, let's start. I'm here today with my colleagues Arthur and Martin, who will introduce themselves later. Last Friday, we have this exciting, since last Friday, we have this exciting new opportunity. We have opened a call for the targeted projects program. This is the second call that we open this year. So if you go to the next slide, please. So what will we discuss today? So firstly, I will give you a very quick overview of what the call is about. So I will discuss the dates, the budget that are available, and for whom this call is. Afterwards, I will go a bit more in detail what the scope of the call is. So talk about KPIs, the project objectives, and the return of investment we expect from funding these projects. Then Martin will tell you a bit more about the application process and the evaluation process. And then we will close with a quick look into the future to see what happens when the projects are awarded. And then we will give the floor to you for asking some questions in the chat. Okay. So firstly, the call overview. Just for you to know, for the people that know EIT Urban Mobility, but do not yet really know what the targeted project program is about. So we are part of the innovation program, and the aim of this new program that only started this January is that we complement the main innovation call, and we basically look at what projects we have in our portfolio, and we try to understand what are the gaps in our portfolio, and we try to address them through different calls throughout the year. So the idea is that we want to cover certain geographies. We want to make sure that we are on board of all emerging trends and technologies. We want to make sure we cover all topics that are in our strategic agenda and in our business plans. But also we look outside, of course, because we're working in innovation, and we check what are new technologies that we did not consider before. What are certain new policies or regulations or certain events that we would like to address as quickly as possible. So this is the context of our call, and this call takes part in that context, and I will tell you a little bit more about that later. But in the next slide, you can see the timeline of this specific call. So last Friday, the 23rd, the call opened, and like every open call, it will close in 2 months, so the 23rd of August. That would mean that around the whole month of September, we have the evaluation process happening. And by I would assume the end of October, we have all the contracts signed, and we can start the fun part, which is the actual projects we would like to fund. So in this call, there are 2 separate topics that we would like to fund a project for each of these topics. The first topic is on healthy cities. So to give a bit more context about the gap here, in our strategic agenda, the topics of public realm and health and active mobility are very important and very much highlighted. However, in our main innovation call, this is not one of our challenge areas anymore that we fund. And one of the reasons is that it's very hard to get projects that provide a return on investment. So the aim of this specific call is to look for a project to cover these important challenge areas, but of course try to find a project that is actually good, but also commercial. Okay, so what we are looking for specifically is a consortium that would like to develop and commercialize a digital tool that would support cities in making health an integral part of urban planning and transport policy making. We would like it to help cities to measure impact of certain public interventions, so to be able to measure it and also to see from an economic point of view what is the impact in terms of costs. Yeah. The second topic that we would like to address in this call is we would like to bring the first hydrogen cargo bikes on the market. So we already work with very good electric cargo bikes, but there is still a gap in the market in hydrogen cargo bikes, which could be a competitive alternative for the electric cargo bike, not to replace it, but in certain markets, in certain contexts, they could be a better use case in terms of, for instance, the operational hours they can fulfill and more. So who can apply for these two topics or these two projects? Firstly, like always, the call is open for EU member states and Horizon Europe associated countries. If you would like to know which countries they are in the call manual, you can find a list. And we always fund a consortium that consists of at least 2 different countries because we fund European projects. But of course, for both topics, it is slightly different. So for the healthy cities, we fund a smaller consortium of only 2 partners consisting of a commercial partner, but also an academic partner. And since we want 2 demonstrations of the solutions, we would like you to apply with cities as end users, at least 2, and you would have to apply with letters of support from each of these cities. It can be more than 2, but it has to be at least 2. For topic 2, on the hydrogen cargo bikes, there can only be 4 partners. There should not be a mandatory letter of intent, but it's highly recommended if you have the support from all the stakeholders that could somehow be involved in the project, especially if they are crucial to the demonstration of the hydrogen cargo bikes. The call budget is for topic 1, so the healthy cities, is around 200,000 euros of EIT funding. And for topic 2 on the hydrogen cargo bikes is 350,000 euros. Don't forget, this is the EIT funding. You always have to provide a minimum of 33% co-funding. On the right, you can see what this would approximately look like. The total project cost can be higher, but at least the 33% co-funding has to be foreseen by the consortium in general. And this is for a project of 12 months for both. So to go a little bit more in detail on the call scope, so the objectives of the Healthy Cities project. So in innovation, we always fund projects that develop a new solution or at least a significantly improved version of an existing solution. So in this case, it can be that you already have a certain solution to help cities, but you really would like to improve it with certain modules, certain layers you want to build on top of it. That is also possible. You don't have to start from scratch. Then we would also like you to demonstrate the solution in at least 2 cities. In this case, the demonstration is really about involving the cities as end users, getting their feedback, but also to test the solution and explain how it works and make them actually use it and get some conclusions out of that with the 2 cities at least. It can also be more cities. And the third one is, as I explained before, it's about finding commercial projects in this area. So we would also like you to focus very much on the objective of developing a business model for this tool. So how can you sell this? What would be the margin with the cities as clients? This is also very crucial for this call, or for this project specifically. So to give a bit of more details of what we are looking for in the project, so it's really about incentivizing city officials to make certain choices and public interventions to really promote healthier lifestyle and to make it easy for them to do that. And also that the policymakers are informed with data and actual to be able to measure what certain decisions would, what kind of impact. We know that there are certain indicators to measure this, which are the Haley or Quiley approaches. Maybe there are others as well, but these are very known ones that we would like to see in the tool. And which is also very important, of course, if you work with these type of solution, that you really work with a research institute or university that has the latest scientific evidence of measuring these types of impacts. And at the same time, the city actually has a user-friendly digital tool that it's easy for them to work with. So for topic 2, for the hydrogen cargo bikes project, the same always applies. We want a new solution or a significantly improved version of a solution. And we would like to make or develop and commercialize a hydrogen cargo bike that is actually competitive in the market, that is flexible to use, lightweight, easy for the drivers, or for the and that is actually ready by the end of the project, so that can be commercialized by month 12. And then we would like you to, of course, demonstrate this product for a certain amount of time with a last mile logistic operator in a real live urban setting. And to give you a bit more details, we would like to see a cargo bikes, like I said before, that is easy to use, that is actually competitive with the already more saturated market of electrical cargo bikes, and that they can operate for at least 8 hours, and that they can also carry high payloads. Okay, so now you understand a little bit what is the content or the objectives that we are looking for. Both projects have mandatory KPIs that are linked to these objectives. So the first one is a marketed innovation, which is basically what I explained you before, that we need a new or improved version of a certain technology or solution. So for both projects, we assume at least one marketed innovation KPI. In the webpage of the call, you can find a list of these KPIs that you see here, and a better explanation more in detail of what they exactly mean, and by the end of the project, what type of evidence you actually need to provide for us to consider these KPIs as achieved. But so for both, this is a mandatory KPI, and also the demonstrations is a mandatory KPI. So for the healthy cities, we see at least 2, because we have to apply with at least 2 cities, and for the hydrogen cargo bikes, at least 1 demonstration. So the others that you see here are optional KPIs. Bear in mind that we evaluate these more KPIs that we consider, of course, as feasible. Think about feasibility as well, but this is positively evaluated, especially if within the context of the project a new startup is created, so new business is created. Okay, so these are the KPIs. And now I would like to give the floor to Arthur, who is going to explain you a little bit more about the financial sustainability model or return on investment. Go ahead, Arthur.
Thank you, Judith. And good morning to everyone attending. So return on investment or the financial sustainability model. So the idea for EIT Urban Mobility is in the years to come to become financially sustainable and not depend so much on the funds coming from the European Commission, right? So the idea is how to implement this is what we call our financial sustainability model, which is very simply illustrated in the slide that you can see. So the idea is that initially we obtain certain money that we use to fund these activities. So in this case, the different amounts that Judith was mentioning prior for the different topics, right? And out of this activity, an output, an outcome is created, whether it be a new product, a new solution, new service, a new company. And from that output, we expect that it creates a certain revenue, right? By selling the new solution that in some way we help fund. And the idea is that based on this, we agree to whether it's a revenue share, whether it's an equity, whether it's a fee per transaction, that a certain amount will come back to EIT Urban Mobility, to us, contributing to what we call the Perpetual Innovation Fund. Because the idea is based on these contributions, what we will do in the future is keep funding new activities and therefore keeping this circle going for many years to come, right? So if we can move on to the next slide. So here you can see the different types of contributions that you can make towards the financial sustainability. So the idea is that there's two main options here. So one of them is the equity, which is you, based on the amount that is given to you on the EIT funding, we provide with an amount of equity from the company. Now, for this innovation call, this is only available for the companies that are already in our portfolio, which would mean we would increase the equity EIT Urban Mobility has in them. For those that are not in our portfolio, two options happen. We can either have a revenue share, meaning a percentage of the sales that you make out of the product that you have developed through this project at the end of the year will come back to EIT Urban Mobility. Of course, this percentage is always discussed and agreed upon both parties to ensure that it does not represent a huge financial burden for the company, but it's also something that EIT can, keep adding to the Perpetual Innovation Fund so we can keep promoting future activities. And the other one is what we call the fee per transaction. I think in the business plan manual, in the call manual, we have it under a different name that it's up above. It's it's called the product service fee. Sorry. So the fee per transaction is, let's say, out of the cargo buy, let's say it has a cost per service that it's done. Just hypothetical here. I'm not an expert in that. So, let's say that a cost of one trip on that hydrogen bike, it creates a revenue for the company of X amount, and we get a percentage. That's what a fee per transaction would sort of look like, right? So these are a little bit the models that are present for the financial sustainability. Now, if we can move to the next slide. Now, this is an alternative FSM that we started develop because sometimes we saw that the results based on the prior model were not as we would expect, or as we would hope for. So the idea is we developed a new FSM model that is not mentioned in the call manual, but if you would like, you can also apply for this. As a matter of fact, because we're switching all our innovation calls, FSM and return of investment to this model. Again, it will be positively evaluated if you go for this model. So the idea for this model is to have a little bit of a mix between what we saw was working and what we saw that was needed from some of the startups. So the idea here is to have a fixed fee plus a variable fee. So the idea is on the fixed fee, we would get a percentage of the EIT funding that has been provided to the activity back in the first or 2 years to come afterwards. Usually we're talking about a 10%, and that would cover the financial sustainability, and everything. And then we work also on a variable fee. Now, the variable fee is very much similar to the revenue share that I was mentioning prior, like based on the amount that you sell the new solution or the new product. Or at the end of the year, EIT gets a percentage back. But the keynote here is that we would only get that percentage, that variable fee, if EIT Urban Mobility is providing the lead, the qualified lead to make that sell. Meaning, let's say you sell your solution to the city of Rome, but EIT did not provide a qualified lead, did not provide, did not help create this meeting or create this sale. Therefore, EIT would not receive a variable fee. But if EIT is presenting to you the city of Germany, the city of Berlin, sorry, and from those meetings and from that qualified lead that we provided to the company, if a sale happens, EIT would get a percentage. Again, the percentage would be discussed and agreed upon both parties to ensure that, it's agreeable for everybody. Now, the thing is, with this, what it entails, and we can move to the next slide, for this variable fee to work, it entails a relationship between EIT and the commercial partner. So in the years prior with the prior FSM, so the FSM that is mentioned in the call manual, we realized that sometimes EIT was taking a more passive role. We were just sitting back and waiting for you to sell. With this new FSM, what we do is we will work with you for 3 to 4 years, with our sales enablement team, which we will help you, finalize the pitch, see where you are vis-a-vis the market penetration, see what needs are you lacking, see how we can help to provide to this better. And then we'll work with you, we'll work what kind of markets are you interested in, what kind of clients are your ideal clients, and so on. And we'll work with you trying to sell your solution and make it more feasible to the rest of Europe. So again, as a quick recap, we have the financial sustainability that you can see in the call manual, which is either equity if you're already in our portfolio, or revenue share or a fee per transaction. On the other hand, we have this new FSM system that it's up to you if you want to go with this one, which is again a 10% of the EIT funding that you have received to pay by EIT in the 2 years to come, plus work with us for 3 to 4 years, and we will help you sell this solution with a variable fee. So that's pretty much the FSM. If you have any more questions, again, at the end of the webinar, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arthur. So now we will discuss the application and evaluation process that will be done by Marcin.
Hi, everyone. So yeah, like Judith said, I'll quickly take you through the application process for this call. So the first step, as it is with any EU funding or tender opportunity, is if you haven't already, obtain your PIC number. And the second step will then be to sign up on the Plaza tool, which is our submission platform, and it's important that all the partners in the consortium sign up to Plaza. If you're not sure how to do any of these things, please check out the call webpage, which has this list of documents. Specifically, the guidelines for applicants is useful here, but the rest of the documents are also useful if you have any general questions about the application process. So this is how the application portal looks. I'll just show you how the screens look and what to look out for. So when you start off, this is what you see, and it's important that you choose to apply to the correct call. So you can always refer back to the recording of this webinar later on if you're not sure about something, but please ensure that you're choosing innovation and then second targeted call, and again, the second targeted call at the beginning to make sure your application goes to the right section. And then the duration will be from October 2023 to October 2024. Going forward, in the contact section, here is where you can put all the contact information of you, your company, or who you represent, as well as the partners in your consortium. In the activity overview section is where you can give us more details about what solution you're proposing and why. So things like the purpose of the activity, the scope, and the work plan. So please go into as much detail as possible in the word count that we've given, because it's really important that you be explicit for the evaluators later on. The next section is then the activity specific info. So this is the part that is specific to this targeted call. So what's important here specifically for the healthy cities is this is where you submit your 2 letters of support from the cities in case of the healthy cities topic, and in case of the hydrogen cargo bikes, any supporting files that you think are important to add. But this section in general goes deeper into what you plan for your pilot, as well as kind of giving us more of a reason why your solution is the most innovative and why it should be chosen. Moving forward, this is the financial sustainability section. So here you can refer more to what Arthur was just saying before. As he mentioned, the equity section is only available to our portfolio companies. So so if you're not part of our portfolio, you'll be entering into the amount section. And then the final important section is the budget section. So here we do require that you show us and to justify the budget based on the task, or divide the budget based on the tasks that you will be performing within the project, and also based on what the budget will be used for. So personnel costs, travel costs, whatever it may be. And if you're unsure if any of the costs are eligible, then please check the eligibility of expenditure document, which you can also find on the call webpage. So 3 tips that I think you should take away with you when applying. First of all, please don't wait until the last moment or until the deadline to apply with Plaza. We know from experience that things can go wrong on the last day, and if Plaza crashes for whatever reason or something else goes wrong and you submit after the deadline, your proposal will unfortunately not be considered. So please keep that in mind. Second of all, please double and triple check the eligibility criteria. We have had very good proposals before that we've had to reject simply on the basis of the fact that they didn't meet the eligibility criteria. So please double check that your proposal is eligible. And then finally, read through the strategic fit and evaluation criteria, and then be explicit in your application, right? Don't assume that the external evaluators will see something that isn't there. Please be explicit about all the things that you need them to understand to fully understand your proposal. But yes, speaking of the evaluation, I will now quickly take you through the evaluation stages and the criteria that we will be considering. So this process will start once the call closes in August. And so most of the evaluation process will take place in September. We will start off with an eligibility check. So here we will be checking the completeness of the application on Plaza, whether your consortium is eligible, whether you have the minimum co-funding rate, etc. If something is wrong at this stage, we will notify you and give you 5 days to resubmit the proposal. So if something is wrong on Plaza or something, we will let you know. Every proposal that is eligible will then move on to the strategic fit, where the external evaluators will already enter the picture. And here, the strategic fit, the main point of this part is to look whether your proposal fits into the general scope of the call, and also whether it fits into the EIT Urban Mobility strategic agenda. So every proposal that scores at least 3 points for each criterion will then move on to the full evaluation, where the bulk of the points will be won. So here we assess the excellence of your, we assess the strategic fit, the excellence, the impact that your solution will have, and how you deal with the questions regarding implementation. In this case, 3 external evaluators will give you a score and then discuss with a rapporteur which agree on a score that they all agree with. And all these proposals from both topics will then be put forward to internal evaluators for the final section, which is worth 20%. And at this stage, some EIT urban mobility directors are involved to look into the generally also a strategic fit of the solutions in our general portfolio. So this is a bit an overview of the evaluation process. Again, if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them at the end.
Thank you, Martin. So what happens from the moment your project gets approved? So you can go to the next slide. So, of course, the first thing that happens once you are part of a consortium that won is that for the ones that it's not the case yet, you will have to join the EIT urban mobility ecosystem. This will go through the hub that you belong to their geographic area. I will not go too much in detail now, but you can choose to be a leading city, a silver partner, or a gold partner. And this, of course, is a good thing because you will be able to enjoy all of our service offering that would range from matchmaking, access to non-EIT funding opportunities, and benefits related to our flagship event, amongst many other benefits. So that would be the first step. If that is completed, this is just a very, very broad idea of what then would happen from the moment the project starts. So in October, or actually before October, but let's say around October, we will validate your partnership, but also we will have to sign some legal documents for receiving the grants. And then throughout the year of the project, you will develop your solution. You will demonstrate your solution in a real life urban setting. And from our side, we will work closely with you because your success is, of course, our success. So we will be helping you, monitoring you. And as part of the monitoring, we will test your solution depending on the type of solution in a lab or in real life. And we will visit the demonstration. So that will happen throughout the year. And of course, by the final steps, you will have to report. You will have to deliver on your KPIs and your project's outcomes, which would be the objectives, the outputs, the deliverable, etc. Since this is a 12-year project, you will also have a midterm review to see how everything is going and to check the progress of your solution and the project in general. And it will also be the time that if you would like to make some project changes, you can then make happen, basically. So to highlight what are the project outcomes. So as part of this call, I would check it. There is in the call manual a section that explains what are the mandatory outputs and deliverables that we expect. So the difference between output and deliverable, I know, is a bit vague for some, but an output is a tangible or an intangible outcome of a project. Is the main outputs of a project. So in this case, it's the demonstration that we record as an output, and the solution itself. And if you choose to also create a new startup, we consider the startup incorporation as a output as well. You can add additional outputs that fit your project so that we can easily monitor the project also in the midterm. But we would not recommend more than 6 outputs. In terms of deliverables, it's the same. So the mandatory deliverables are the commercial agreement. A commercial agreement is a kind of contract or an agreement that you will sign with us, in which you more explicitly outline your chosen financial sustainability mechanism and the details of that agreement. Okay. The second deliverable would be the product business plan. This would be a plan that you outline what is the commercial future of your solution, let's say, or if you create a new startup, how would you like to grow your business? And the last one would be a report on the demonstration or multiple demonstration. Again, we recommend you to add some additional deliverables that would allow us to monitor throughout the year, but only think about what is crucial to this project. Don't forget that a deliverable is a document that you have to submit, while an output is something that we will monitor in different ways, but it's not something you have to write. Okay, that's on the project outcomes. Okay, well, now we have talked enough. We hope that everything is as clear as it can be. But feel free anyway. My email address is in the call manual. You can, throughout the whole 2 months, ask any type of question that you might have. I think that was it for now. I would like to thank my colleagues for being here. I would like to thank all of you for having interest in this call. We wish you good luck with the application. And that's all. This was recorded and we will upload it on the call webpage. So in case you would like to rewatch it, you can. Bye-bye, everybody.